Today.
Today.
Let's talk about today.
Compare national state level, you would have to run non-sale, it's wholesale.
Is like 9,000.
The only mistake I made, I didn't put it in the registration booth with the
Just this ever-evolving story.
Welcome back to Let's Grow Poland. It's Monday, October 6th. We've got a great show lined up for you. I'm Logan Stevens here with my co-host Randy. It's going to be a great show here tonight. We've got some big guests lined out, competitors from all over the country. But for now, let's just kick it off. Randy, tell us about your weekend, what you did, and anything exciting going on.
Well, we just had we've had a busy week at the farm. Pulling is over with for Ohio. So we actually we went farming all weekend. We cut quite a few acres of beans, got some wheat planted, and then we actually had a executive board meeting yesterday, trying to get things headed in the right direction for next year. So we did do a little bit of pulling, just kind of highlighted the year with our meeting. So it was good positive motion, that's for sure. So how was your week, Logan?
It was very busy. Between getting, some people might have saw, and little brother went out with a sprint car running that thing around, and just making parts back at the shop. Your week fills up very fast, but I guess you have to work to have fun. So
yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Enough about our boring lives. We've got a man here that needs no introduction, and he should be interviewing me because he is one of the great of the sport. Not just him, but the family and everyone around them. The great Adam Kester. Adam, how's it going?
How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you today, Adam?
Oh, not too bad. Just got off work here not too long ago. Went in the house, had my wife made a wonderful dinner, and just jump on here to chat with you guys while we watch a little Monday Night Football.
That sounds like a good thing to be doing on this Monday night. I don't know where you are, but it's kind of rainy up here. It's rainy down there in Florida. Seems like it's going to be wet kind of all over the United States for the next day or two.
Yeah, it's raining here, so nothing like getting inside and flopping down on the couch and doing a bunch of nothing.
Yeah, exactly. You run all summer, and now it's time to just relax. But
Yep.
Relaxation can't be too long because next season's going to be right back around.
That's right. We got
Here, go ahead, Adam.
I was just gonna say that's right. We got engines are already lining up at the shop as we speak. So yeah, the off season isn't really much of an off season for me.
Before we jump into some of your Poland stuff, let's talk about Minor Brothers Engines and kind of the whole thing that you are with your engine shop and all that. How you guys, sounds like you're staying plenty busy there in the shop. How many motors, this was one of my questions, is how many motors are out there of yours that you've built over, let's say, the modern version of Minor Brothers engines?
It's a good question. I've kind of lost track of how many years I've actually been working for Minor Brothers. Trying to think here. It's a lot. I know that for sure. I would say probably in circulation of guys running in the big three series, if that's the number. I would say somewhere probably in the 120 a year running. There's probably more engines than that running out there, but there's a lot of engines out.
Yeah, that's just a huge number, and then that doesn't take into account the number of engines you see back every year getting fresh and ready to be out there and running for the top spot like every other engine builder out there.
Yeah, the just the multi-engine classes start stacking up. I think my buddies did some math here. I think we had just in the unlimited class alone, I think there was like 16 or 19 engines just in the unlimited class alone. So it doesn't take very long. Like Chris Wells, they have 3-4 engine tractors. There's 12 engines right there. So you mix in like Billy Beers, Adam Bauer. There's another. I take it back. There's 26 right there. So I can't remember exactly how many are out there. Nathan Fry's in there. There's another 4 more. So there's 30. We're getting close to 30. I know I'm missing a few, but the 2-wheel drive class is a lot. Numerous in that class, the mini rod class. Man, it just seems like you kind of lose track of how many are actually out there. And a lot of the guys, not everybody brings the engine back to me every year. A lot of guys like to go through them themselves. A few of my customers, they kind of group up, like some of the Timmermans, they kind of work on their own. They get all their parts and stuff from me, but a lot of the guys, if there's not major damage, they can do a lot of the work themselves.
Yep. No, that's just awesome. And you mentioned these big teams, but how do you find work to work on your own stuff? I mean, you field a competitive 3-tractor team, but yet you keep every other competitor's engine programs out there running on the top level. Where do you find the time for this?
Well, it's called you got to make your stuff where you don't have to work on it. So, I've been doing this for a long enough time. I know what it takes to run the engine and the tractor competitively without really, and of course every engine builder is going to say that, but I really don't run my stuff that hard. It's more about gearing and nailing down the setup and learning how to drive. We were really lucky this year. We broke an input shaft there at the Pullers Championship in the red tractor. And, we had to drop the paint on that because when it broke the input shaft, it messed up some clutch discs and my clutch. So I put a new clutch in it, and then I dropped the pan just to check the rear main to see how it looked. Everything looked really good. So luckily for me, the only thing I did this year was change oil a couple times and check the valves and the oil filter every pass. So we got really lucky this year, just with a good year for maintenance, and staying on top of the tires is enough work. So if I can do my job and keep the engine program running sound, then it leaves the tires to me, and I think we got a pretty good way of taking care of our tires now. So it's busy, but I have a loving wife that will let me work on the stuff here a couple days, and I can usually try to get that knocked out. And I do have 2 people working for me. They're one now, one's back at school, but Harrison works for me, and usually when we get back Monday, or when he gets to work on Monday, I say, hey, go over there and get the spark plugs out and take the valve covers off, and then I can kind of take over. Toby, he comes down during the season a lot of times on Thursdays or Fridays, and he'll do some tidbits around the shop. Usually it's with the rig, making sure it's all maintenance and generators need oils changed and keeping up on tires and greasing and just, trying to keep up with it. The rig is a lot of work itself. So we're just really fortunate that last couple of years we ran pretty good.
So I know you mentioned your start there at the Pullers Championship. Talk to us about your year a little bit between all 3 of your vehicles. I mean, a stellar season with your white silver vehicle, and the other 2 for being first-year build tractors. They were not too far behind. So walk us kind of through your year. Yeah,
we started out. Pullers Championship was the first runs on them for the year, and we were lucky enough to get 2 of them in there. And, they're nice enough to let me bring the third one to, make a couple test passes. But, It started out there, didn't really know what to expect. The track's kind of tricky, and that always kind of makes you a little, nervous about things. But we started out okay. I did try a little bit of different setup and just the red tractor alone for the first couple of hooks, and it didn't take very long to tell that I needed to follow suit with the footloose tractor or the white one. And we made some changes after Hutchinson with it, and it basically just came down to if I didn't mess up driving, I knew they would all be similar. For me to kind of, change the tractors, all three of them, to different setups, maybe looking for a different setup. I probably could have done that, but I think it affects your driving enough that, for each setup, you kind of have to drive differently. So my mentality is that if I set them all up the same, then I can make small adjustments and maybe improve. It just happened to be the first couple of passes, the first one down was probably the best one, and then I screwed up the other two. But, that's part of it sometimes.
Yep. So you kicked it off with Pullers Championship and then toured all around the country, win after win after win, it seemed like. What's it like having a 3-tractor team? Before we get to there, what's the similarities and differences between all three of your vehicles? Not to be specific on them or anything. I know you're a very secretive guy.
I'm not very secretive. I mean, if you're in the engine building business, you have to be open with your setups and stuff to let your customers know what's going on. So, there's not much difference between all of them. The footloose tractor, the white one, it doesn't have a air ride front end on it, which I bought that tractor from Dusty Price there a couple years ago, and it was a new build from him. And I was dabbling in thinking about, either I had to make a change or I was going to think about getting in a different class, honestly. I mean, I just wasn't having very good success, and it just seems like, you start losing interest when you're not running good. And I thought, we'll just build a new tractor. And we originally thought when I got that one, and we took off and it was running good pretty much out the gate. We had to make a few adjustments on it, but it was running pretty good. And so I told Brad Corporal, I said, hey, we'll build another one of these things. And so he's like, okay, I put you on the list. And we started running. And I started thinking, it's like, man, if I ever go down to 2 tractors, it sure would be nice to have 2 identical ones. So I had him build another one. Well, the idea thinking that maybe, that black tractor, the white tractor, whatever you want to say it, like, we'll just slowly migrate that one out and we'll have 2 identical tractors. Well, it must have heard me or something, because that thing ran better than the other 2 did all year long. But, as far as differences between the 3 of them, they're very similar. The air ride is kind of tricky when you start to drive, just because the way it leaves the line. And sometimes it just gives you a different sensation in the seat. But, they're very comfortable. I keep them all set up very similar. So, I feel comfort's the most important part of driving. If you're comfortable in the seat, you should be able to do good. So we made sure that all the throttle linkages was the same, and, the steering wheel's all in the same position, the seat's the same. And just in doing that, I think it made all 3 of them seem very similar.
So do you feel it's beneficial to have even a 3rd tractor compared to these 2-tractor teams?
Yes and no. Like
getting data and stuff?
Yes and no. I mean, like I said, theoretically, to have 3, a guy needs to throw different setups in at least one of them, and my intention was not of driving all 3 tractors this year. I just kind of wanted to get my feet wet with them, make sure they're going to be safe to take down the track, and then I was going to let Toby drive. And we started off pretty good, and we had some discussions. He's like, yeah, you're doing good, just keep it going. So we'll see what next year brings. But the 3 tractors, I'll tell you what's really hard. The hardest part for me is you need a set of tires, or a couple sets of tires, for every kind of track you run on. And a lot of the times I didn't have the tires that I needed, for the other tractors. You kind of put your best set on the one that does the best, and then you kind of, you're kind of stuck with the other ones. You need a short lug and you don't have it, or you need a tall lug and you don't have it. For me, that was the biggest thing is, we have like, I don't know, 8 sets of tires, and it just, they were all brand new. And the way Chad cuts them, it's hard to take a brand new set of tires and cut the lugs all the way off of them, so you have a short set. So a lot of the time we, it started out good, and then then we got into some tracks where we needed some different lugs, and I just didn't have them. So just trying to wrangle the tire situation is probably the hardest thing with 3.
Yeah. Well, you guys managed it very, very well. So going across all your miles and stuff, how many miles did you cover throughout this season? I know we saw you anywhere from PPL to NTPA and anywhere else you guys could get some dirt under your feet.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we're probably somewhere in that 10, 12,000 miles a year when we're really going to a lot of events. A few of those miles this year, like when we were going to Rockwell, that's usually like a 7-8 hour trip at most. I think it took us 17 hours to get there. We had some airbag issues on the truck, and couple at the beginning of the year we had a tire issue on the way to one of the pulls, and but I don't really want to know how many miles that we run. This year, before they canceled the Benson event, we were going to have to go from Nashville, Illinois. Then the next pull would have been Benson. The week after that is Hutchinson, Minnesota. Then you have Farley. And then you got to have Toma the week after. It's like, man, you're just running up and down the road. And then, you kind of get a little bit of break. And then you go to Chapel Hill, Fort Recovery, Rockwell. That's another trip way back up there. And then it's like, every weekend to Ohio after that. It's pretty crazy. Like, I feel kind of blessed that I'm in Indiana. But, some of these guys really got to drive a lot more miles than I do.
Yeah, I understand that feeling of miles. It seems like it's forever to get to anywhere.
Right.
Whether it's heading out your guys' way to Goshen or Evansville, or even just we have to cross Missouri to run Nashville, for heaven's sake. But no, it's a blast running with you guys. So you kicked off your season, you're heading down the road. When did you really realize with your Footloose tractor that, okay, this is kind of being the lead dominant vehicle of the bunch? We're going to kind of heavily focus on this and try to run for a national championship.
I think that's starting that the pulling season out in Hutch, getting a first and second. That was kind of, Friday night, the track was kind of tricky. It was wet. And I tend to, if you look at some of the events that we ran at, if the track was really wet, usually I was pretty close to the front. So I felt pretty confident coming out of Hutchinson. We'd started off pretty good with all 3 tractors, and then going to Farley, bringing in a first, a second, and a fourth in the prelims. I'm like, hey man, we might have something here, and shot ourselves in the foot there. We had everything going for us, and for the 50,000 to win, and I put the wrong tires on the wrong tractor to begin with, and it kind of, I worked myself out of doing good there. I had too much time to work on tires, and I screwed myself. But over the next couple of pulls, started stretching the lead out a little bit. I said, hey, we might have something here, so just don't be an idiot, and just make laps. And it just, some things fell into the right places at the right times. Trust me, there was plenty of passes. You make one good hook at Rockwell, and then the next night we didn't do worth a damn, and you start second guessing, and maybe we should try this, or maybe we should try that. And I kind of went into the year just telling myself, hey man, just run the timing 25 degrees. I can go more, but I don't want to. Keep the timing at 25. Leave the gear alone. drive it differently. If you want the thing to run better, pull a little fuel out of it. If not, keep it a little rich. And we just kind of stayed consistent with our setup, and it seemed to work most of the places. But man, they threw the new sled in on us at Chapel Hill, and that was definitely tricky. So that, and a couple of really late hooks at Bowling Green were really challenging. Being like 48th and 54th out of 55 and one in the afternoon, but that made it kind of difficult. But we were able to keep our heads screwed on and not make any dumb decisions. We fought a tire. We didn't even really know it until late in the year that we had a bad tire gauge the whole year. And I think at the beginning of the year when the tires were nice and stiff and broke in, we didn't really notice it. But as the more runs we put on the tires, we just noticed it wasn't finishing very well. And the tire gauge was off a lot. But, in a mini rod, very small amounts of air pressure changes the tire a lot.
Yeah,
so,
we're talking tenths and sometimes even hundredths of air pressure. But most of the time, you're talking tenths of a pound is making huge differences.
Yeah, so like at 20 pounds in the gauge, when I first checked it, it was off like 4 or 5 pounds. And then when I got my new gauge, I checked it again. It was actually off like 8.6 pounds at 20 pounds. So when you start going down like 2 pounds, it might have only read 1 pound. But we didn't know it,
Mm-hmm.
We actually had a second gauge in the trailer. We pulled it out. We checked it. Like, no, that gauge is wrong. Put it back away. And it was actually pretty close. So we bought one of those expensive air gauges. And then towards the end of the year, we put air back in the tires, but we didn't want to get too aggressive, because we didn't know what the thing was going to do. And we slowly kept gradually getting back up there, but it really didn't affect much. They still made some really good passes, so pretty happy with that.
You talk keeping your engine program the same, your chassis program the same, and your tires the same, but changing your driving style. We see these wide array from my driving style to yours and any of the other competitors out there in the class. What have you found works for you, and what do you think that the tractors really need to succeed?
For me, I think it's not going out there and, getting after it really hard. That just doesn't work for my setup. Plus, the older I get, the more, I don't even know how you put it. I'm not scared of the things, but I know what they can do when they get out of control. And, this year I started out driving a little bit soft because you have new chassis and you don't want to crash. So I think starting out, I noticed that being patient really helped me out. Feeling the tractor hook and with 3 tractors, you can kind of mess with that a little bit. If you think you're a little slow off the line and then the next one you get after a little bit quicker, if it doesn't go as far, then maybe you got on it too hard. So that's why I felt keeping all the setups the same and just changing the way I drive or slightly changing the tune-up of the engine to make it run better or not as hard was kind of the name of the game for me.
So when you're coming into an event, I know in years past we've heard you talk a lot about track lengths. You mentioned some stuff about different tires, short bar, tall bar. I've got your run here from Bowling Green. I know you mentioned you were buried in the pack. Let's watch this video and then we'll have you explain kind of what you look at coming into an event and kind of the driver's perspective.
Yeah, that was Saturday night. I think I was second to last there. Track had gotten pretty hard on us, and it didn't really pick up the front end off the line like I like it to. I haven't mastered the getting down the track with the front end glued to the ground like some of the guys have, or but if I don't get the front end in the air, man, it just doesn't seem like I go very, very good. And I would say at Bowling Green, going into Bowling Green, I do it every year. It's kind of like the Enderley. I did it this year too. It's a big pull and you want to win. So I put 1 degree of timing in all 3 tractors, and I think it ran just a little bit too hard. And it just, there's, if you can tell yourself that all the events are the same, no matter if it's Hutch, Chapel Hill, Bowling Green, and you want to win all of them, but you start out the year kind of soft, and it's early in the season, and it's a war, not a battle. And if you can just tell yourself not to get aggressive sometimes, I think it would help me out more. We had some people there with Shell Rotella, and I wanted to do good, so kind of hopped him up a little bit. Probably needed to leave him alone, but just didn't transfer the weight that I wanted to right off the line. That track had dried out, but when you have 50 mini rods on it, I mean, they dry the track out worse than any other class out there. So, maybe I would have pulled a little weight off the front, even though that's not the right thing to do sometimes. We need all the weight on them that we can, but maybe just got a little better hole shot there. I think it would have helped me out Saturday.
So I know you mentioned having a huge class, and we saw you post on your Facebook a little while back asking about how many vehicles a person would want in a class. Well, let's take the competitor hat off and let's put a promoter hat on. You have plenty of trips down the track, ranging from back when these pictures were took all the way to here.
Right.
What do you think? What do you suggest for a promoter to help grow the mini class, but keep it fun and interesting for all these fans?
Yeah, it's a difficult line to toe. The reason we have 3 tractors, for one, our sponsor, right? They're giving us money for the 3 tractors, so that's why we continue to run 3. If that changes, you'll see me drop back for sure. As a promoter, it's really difficult because when you schedule these pulls, you have no idea who's going to show up. And you can kind of base it off of, like, if you look at any of the Champions Tour or Grand National Series, like, all right, we have X amount of people showing up. So you're trying to build a event based on the number of vehicles that you're going to have. And like Chapel Hill, they got strapped this year, they got a single track. They got a certain amount of time. They start the show at 7 o'clock, and you got to try to get 80 hooks in. It's very hard to do. If they had their choice, they would be down a lot on that. So, I've always been a big believer in the separation of levels of pulling. You got your state level, your regional level, and your top tier Grand National or whatever. I think that this is my opinion only. I kind of look at it the 2-wheel drive class and even the mini rod class now. There is no separation of classes. From state level to Grand National, you have to have the best equipment to run any organization. You look at, and I think that hurts the growth of the sport personally. But I don't go to a lot of regional events. I know a lot of guys do, and a lot of those region events need support. But I also think there's a reason why there isn't growth. Is because who would want to build one when you have to build a $180,000 mini rod to compete for $500, or whatever the payout is. So, my thing is I think the top tiers need to be well taken care of. If it costs you more money to pull, then it costs you more money to pull. But there also needs to be it's so hard because a lot of the big racing organizations don't have splits like we do. Like, drag racing has NHRA, IHRA, PDRA, all these little outlets, and they kind of stay with their things, but those guys usually stay with those organizations, right? I've always thought there needs to be an incentive for guys that support the class the whole year. I think that, I think it's a little unfair, and I know these polls are big, and I'm going to catch a lot of grief from it. But when guys just show up a week before, they haven't run the entire season. They show up to some of the biggest, most important polls. When you're getting late in the year and the points start, adding up, and people buy Grand National licenses just so they're guaranteed that they can show up, and it affects your points and all that stuff. It's not doing anything to support the guys that are there every single weekend. So when they can start figuring out how to take care of the guys that are there every weekend, plus, have these guys show up. Like I've always said, for Bowling Green, nobody wants to watch 55 mini rods. It's an exciting class, but nobody wants to watch that. If they had some, kind of like what Farley does, kind of like a prelim, if you're a regional, national, or a per hook tractor, then we have a class that'll be smaller early in the week, and we'll take the top 10 out of that and add it to the other one, or whatever the number is, to make your numbers work out. So that's for the big pulls. For the smaller pulls, that's really hard for a promoter because you don't know how many vehicles are going to show up. You look at PPL, they had 5 pro stocks.
Yeah.
And then you look at NTPA and they have 20 there, what makes those guys go to either of those events is my question. What makes all the tractors go here or there? Why can't we figure it out? A lot of guys get fed up with stuff throughout the years. Guys run with this organization, they get mad, they jump to the other one. They run that one for a while, then they jump back, or there needs to be a split. If you're going to do that, you stay there, and you're going to miss out on a show. If you don't run with them, you don't get to go. But that'll start maybe dangling the carrot for people to have incentives to run with a certain organization.
And I think you mentioned it well with more of a separation between the national and state levels, because I know you look 10, 20 years ago where there wasn't as many mini rods out there. There was definitely more of a split between your top tier guys and your state level guys. And I think that's kind of started to go away. But I think another proponent of it is, like you mentioned, the payback for it and building $180,000, $200,000 tractor to run for $500.
Right.
So
yeah, it's kind of disheartening. We signed up for the Galaxy Tour this year, and there was perks to it. There definitely was. If you run good. If you don't run good, you're basically giving them more money. You know what I mean? So. There's a lot of gray area there. I just, a couple of years ago when everybody was running PPL, it's because the money was better. And I don't know. I guess we look at this stuff like, we're supposed to make money doing it, which nobody's going to, but you also got to make it make sense. For me, the big reason I ran the NTPA circuit is because I'm not big on one day hooks, and it's really hard when you have 3 tractors to show up to an event, unload, pull. By the time you get back to the trailer, you blow everything off and you get it put away, and you look around and everybody's gone. I want to drink some beers with my buddies. As much as the competition's there, I also want to hang out with people. So I'm all for the 2-day, 3-day events. Then it's kind of like turning into a camping trip. I missed my hometown pull this year to go to Fort Recovery, and I got rained out both days. And it was pretty irritating, that I drove 5 hours north to watch it rain for 2 days. And, Goshen has a pool. Evansville's got a pool. Altamont got rained out. But, I want to run.
Yeah.
Is the biggest thing. I didn't build them to look at them. I feel we went to Nashville, and I only took 2 tractors because I didn't want to tear up the third one. And I'm pretty sure the people were probably thanking me for leaving one at home, but I didn't build them to look at them. So if I had it all over to do again, I would have brought it. But I really wanted to win a championship with that tractor, and it meant a lot to me to do it. But I just see in the future, it's not going to be a good thing if we continue to run 30 in a class every weekend. I can tell you that.
Yeah. And seeing you there at the last took there in Nashville, that was really nice to see you there and just run against a different group of guys than what we usually run against. So I got one more question. I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier. If you weren't in the mini class or you'd step back, where would you go? Would you stay with the alcohol or would you go and blow a little bit of black smoke?
No, I probably wouldn't be a diesel. I worked on those for way too long. I would have a light super or probably a light mod would be my 2. I've always liked the light super stock class. I think it would be cool to drive one of those. It's got to be lightweight and have a lot of horsepower. So, every time I think about a 4-engine or 5-engine mod, like I get excited, then I realize like one planetary breaks, and then it's like you just lost a house or something. I mean, it's like you got to go through 4 or 5 engines and all that stuff. So maybe one of those days I'd like to get on a multi-engine one, but we looked at a 2-engine a couple years ago, and people would probably be loving it if I had one mini rod and one 2-engine. But to be honest with you, that 2-engine class, it doesn't pay enough, really. I mean, they might be $800 to win, and it's twice the money to put it together. So until those numbers start changing, probably going to just see me in a mini rod.
Yeah. Randy, I've seen you sitting back there. You probably got a ton of questions for this guy. Let's hear them.
Just a couple for Adam. How many points championships have you won, Adam?
3.
3? What does
we
does
came
this
close
one mean?
in 2000? Yeah, this one means a lot. I remember in 2018. I'm going to be a sour puss about this, but we go to Hutchinson, Minnesota, and there's I think 9 tractors there. We had 2 of them, and I got DQ'd for losing a header. And I just remember after that I got DQ'd, and I show up to Toma the next week, and Larry Richwine goes, Adam, I wouldn't have DQ'd you for that. And I said, well, you need to get your group on the same page. Which, at the end of that year, they eliminated that rule. I watched Bryce Van Genderen blow the engine out of the tractor. Weights are falling off and everything. They did not DQ him. I lost a header pipe and backed out of it. I got DQ'd. And Greg Randall goes, oh, it's early in the year. You'll make it up. I never did. I lost the points in 2018 by 1 point. If I would have just got my last place position finished, I would have won by like 5 points. So I could have been 4-time champion, but it's part of it. But 3-time champion. This one probably means the most to me. Yeah, because my dad's not around. And honestly, since 2016, 2017, and 18, those 3 years, we just haven't ran that good. And we just couldn't put it together. So it's glad to actually run good again.
That's good. That's good. Is there I know you've been pulling a long time and a lot of years. Is there any place out there that just gives you 100% fits? You just know that you want to, I'm sure you've won everywhere you went, but is there any place that you just really struggle at?
Enderley.
Enderley? Okay.
I've never won that pull. I've gotten second there, I think 3 or 4 times. I've never ran good there. This year, the track was really good and put a degree of timing in it, like I told you I shouldn't do, but I knew everybody was going to be running hard there. But the Enderley, trying to think where else. Toma's always give me fits. I've won there before one time. I've never really ran great there. I really like Fort Recovery. That's to me that's a very historic pull, and the track is super challenging. The left track is, anyways. And then if I ever get a chance to do it, Evansville. I've never got to pull at Evansville. I'd love to pull there.
Got it. All right. I didn't realize you never won at the Enderley, but yeah, that's about the only questions I really have for you. You got anything else, Logan?
Real quick here, give me your 30-second breakdown on how do you fix the 30 in a class. I know we went on about it. Give me your 30-second synopsis on it.
How do you fix 30 in a class? Well, is this for a 1 day, 2 day, or 3 day event?
That's a very good question. I know we started, we'll just say 1 day, because I know towards the end of the NTPA season, we started, it was almost 25 tractors around, I believe.
Right. Okay, so hear me out on this. I know this is a crazy thing to think about because weather always throws something in. Why do pulls start at 7 o'clock at night? Especially on Fridays. Can you answer that question? Why do pulls start at 7 o'clock on Friday?
I think a lot of the theory is and this is back in the day, everybody worked till 5, and then now you can round up the kids and let's go to the fair, let's go to the pull. But
Right.
Things nowadays are changing with Susie and I owning that pizza shop. We've learned that there's a lot of 4-day weeks now, so that Friday thing could theoretically change, really, because there's a lot of people that don't work Fridays anymore.
Yeah, here's my mentality on the thing. Take for instance this what's going on behind me right now. This football game, college football, NFL football, concerts, whatever. If people want to go, they're going to take off work to go, right?
Yeah.
And my age-old tale that still resonates with me right now, when you start a pull at 7 o'clock at night, by 9 o'clock, if you have kids, you have to get home. You got to get either home, you got to get to a hotel. It's time for them to go to bed. I think you have to change the way that a tractor pull is envisioned. I think that if you're going to have a pull and you have 30 in a class, and it's even a 1 day hook, Friday, we're starting at 11 a.m. We're going to run 15. That way the track is the same for 15 guys. We'll have a pause. We're going to run some more classes at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to run the other 15. And at that night, we're at 6 o'clock, we're going to run the top 10. And the finals, and I know it's hard to do if you're in a diesel super or anything like that, but hooking twice in a day isn't a huge problem for most people. But you got to group these things. It's kind of like, and I don't want to compare us to drag racing because we're not there at all, but, they have rounds, right? If you had to sit and watch 35 top fuelers go down the track, one after another, after another, after another, after another, I think you'd get tired of it. I think if you had to watch 30 pro stocks go down the track, one, you get tired of it. They do a good job of breaking up the show, right? And small amounts. If you have 30 in class, you run 15 early, take the top 7 or top 6. Then you run your second half. Take the top 6, and then at night you run the top 12. Or you do like RJ did. You have a 5 and a 5, and you have a lucky dog per class. I mean, the weather worked out perfectly for him this year at that event. So that's why it was so successful. I understand that weather is going to be an issue if you adapt that at a lot of places you go. But, man, I think they did a really good job of how that was laid out. And, it was nice for me to only run 2 tractors in one session, one in the other. And you're not you're not just overwhelmed with 30 vehicles. I mean,
I
you
think
guys
that's
kind of understand where I'm getting at with
No,
that?
it gives you a whole different outlet or the whole different aspect to think about it for sure. Absolutely.
Plus, in doing that, why do a lot of the guys have 2 or 3 vehicles? One, okay, if you got some money, you can have those vehicles. But honestly, if I drove 15 hours to Hutchinson, Minnesota to get to pull one time, I probably wouldn't go, right? So for me, I like to race. So the more chances I get to race, I think that's the reason why maybe we have a couple more vehicles. I mean, that's why circle track racing is so, it lasts a lot longer. You get to do it for longer. But I don't know if it's totally adaptable everywhere you go, but I think it would be really neat if they tried some of the big events that way. It gives us a chance to run a little bit more. Plus, it gives the fans not such a more of a concentrated dose instead of just getting completely worn out watching that many vehicles.
No, that's 100%. The reason we added our second tractor is just more seat time, and you got the trailer space for it. What's another 10 foot and 2,000 pounds?
Yeah, unfortunately, the mini rod doesn't take up a lot of room. That's why
No.
everybody's putting them in the trailer.
You stack them forwards, backwards, and on top of one another, and you can pack them in there pretty
I hate
tightly.
to tell people I got room in the trailer for 2 more, so I'll never do it though. Never do it. No, but I don't know. I just think that in the world we live in today, like if people want to come to the event, they're going to come to the event. They're going to take off work to come see it, and and that way, if you kind of laid it out that way, I mean, at Bowling Green, I hate to say it, on Thursday, everybody's already there. They let campers in on Wednesday. The people are already there. I know the track crew and the money for the events, but I guess in some of these things, like you look at Bowling Green, you don't want to run anybody away. You want everybody to get a chance to pull there. That's fine. So the prelims, if you get in the regional and the per hook, and it puts you in the big show, and then you're running for the big money, or whatever. But you don't want to turn anybody away. But I mean, make an event out of it. I mean, you go to the U.S. Nationals; they're running cars on Wednesday. That event goes Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They're running rounds during the big show qualifying, and people are there all week. Fans can come out early in the morning. They can watch till they get tired. They can go home. For the diehards that want to stay there all day and watch it, you got entertainment all day, and maybe the kids actually get to see their favorite class go, and instead of keeping their eyes pried open till midnight, trying to watch a semi or watch the Unlimiteds or a pro stock, and it's 12, 1 o'clock in the morning before the show's over with. I think it would be a better show, if it got done early.
Well, Randy, you're the guy to put this. Maybe you try this with a couple OSTPA events and report back a year from now on your findings.
Yeah, we don't have any. Hopefully, we get the point where we have 30 in a class, but we got that 8 to 10 average, so we're pretty lucky there.
Well, I tell you what, man, the OSTPA circuit, and I don't want to hear anything negative from anybody on this, but I'm sure I will. But OSTPA is probably like the oldest running organization. You guys do a great job of putting on a show. You run the classes through really good. You have the right amount of vehicles. I think you guys adding the mini rod class was like an awesome thing. Now, will I get to come pull any OSTPA stuff? I doubt it, just because there are a lot of single day hooks. But I think that the way OSTPA runs their events, I think, is top notch. I think you guys do an excellent job.
Well, thanks, Adam. We sure do. We Jeremy and I and Chad and Justin, all on the executive board there. We sure try, and really appreciate that, hearing that from you.
I mean,
So
you got some semis in there that used to run on the Grand National Circuit that put on an excellent show.
sure, sure,
You're not going to see those trucks at any other event beside OSTPA hooks, and that's
right,
pretty awesome.
right, yep. Chris Woods and yep,
Bonners.
Bonners there. Yep, they come and show us up once in a while. Yep. And the
Yep.
rookie, he shows up with the Hillbilly Deluxe. They're around. So they actually won our
Yep.
points. They
Yeah,
won
and
the
then the 2-wheel drive class is as strong as any class out there. You can take any of those guys and plug them into any national circuit, and those guys are going to be up towards the front. The mini rod class, you guys have brought in a lot of really good, because guys like Rick Peters, he's getting older and he still loves pulling, and that's awesome for him to get to run a circuit. And you guys have 8 to 10 there every weekend. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's good. And Mike Summers and Bryce Cullen, they got
Yep.
they got a couple pretty bad hot rods right now. So
Oh yeah, man. Everybody that's in that class right now is really tough.
yeah.
Can't mess up much, and these guys will get right by you.
Yeah, I think Cody Edwards, he built that brand new one, and
Mhm.
I think this was first year. It was his first year out, and he was only like one or 2 points behind Mike for the points championship. So he's
Yeah.
he's going to be tough, and for sure,
So how can I guess nobody gets to ask you this question, because this is something I've always wanted. What does it feel like to ride in a sled behind a mini rod?
Oh, I tell you, Adam, and I'm very blessed to be able to have that purple thing in Ohio. That's for sure. There's a lot of people that like pulling that around, but it's but I tell you, like you have three, so it's a little bit different. But like when you drive one vehicle or two, you get yourself kind of tensed up and ready to go pulling, and the way you go. Well, I still have 8 or 10 more to go, and it's I tell you, you got to be on your A game at every minute. And the first night after I ran it, like, boy, that was fun. And then the next day, I'm telling you, I thought I had been beat to death. I thought I was in a bar fight. I'm like, got myself so stressed up and worked up in there. And I'm like, Mo, I'm telling you, what happened to me last night? But yeah, it's a lot of fun back there. And
So I think it would be awesome. Maybe I know the cab's pretty small in those things, but maybe we can sell like buddy rides in the sled, strap them in like a 5-point harness and a helmet and a neck brace, and because watching some of the videos, it looks like a hell of a ride in there.
It is. It sure is. And and even on the mechanical side of it too, you'd be watching, like looking right over top of what you're seeing. I could, when somebody misfires or whatever, and when that thing starts to turn a little bit, the tail whip, it gets to be pretty intense back there where I'm at.
Right. So you're begging probably for a wet track too, so you can actually see what's going on in front of you.
Absolutely. I was out there in Roanoke, Indiana, and boy, it was a dust cloud, and I couldn't see anything. Then the next night we go to Worcester, Ohio, and totally different setup. Well, it was actually an enjoyable ride back there when you could actually see what's going on. And yeah, we had Kenny Vinny, and Hurt was down there that night. So yeah.
Let me ask you. I mean, is there a big difference in the from a bad run to a good run? Do you in the seat, it? Is it smoother? Or does it kind of throw you around a little bit more when somebody's going really fast and the box tops up? Does it throw you out a little bit more?
When it's going fast and it's a nice smooth run, when it hits the top, it does throw me ahead just a little bit more. But those are fun. Those are fun, as fun for me as they are for you. 34, 35 miles an hour straight, just let her go. That's a lot of fun for sure. But those ones that they start, when that tire comes loose, it gets to be a handful back there. Then we got the kill button there. It's like, do you push it? Don't push it. Push it. Don't push it. I mean, I've had a lot of hours of talking with Jeff and with Cody and Chase about, a lot of times they'll drive. You guys will drive through them things, so you just gotta let them go. So I've been very blessed, very lucky. I've never pushed the button. I just let them go, So everyone's drove through them. So
I guess the older I get a little bit more nervous. When the thing's going south, and honestly,
sure.
if it's gonna go bad, you're not gonna win anyway. So protect your equipment and just back out of it the best way you can, and maybe save it for another day. Yeah, they're unpredictable at times, but as bad as it feels, us being in the seat in between the tires, really low to the ground, it may look like a terrible run, but in the seat, it really doesn't feel that bad.
Right.
So when your butt's 6 feet off the ground, you're going to get tossed around a little bit more than maybe we are.
Sure. No, absolutely. And I'll tell you another thing that'll really like you get it going down through there and something happens and they pedal it in a hurry and the box just keeps going, and it hits the top in a second, and it'll put you against the steering wheel. That's for sure. You gotta, and there ain't a lot of. I'm not a big guy. I mean, you and I are built real similar, and there just isn't a lot of leg room in that little cab.
Yeah, is that why you don't see Big riding around in a mini rod sled?
Man, there's probably a lot of truth to that, Adam.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's awesome. I've rode in both. Riding in a sled feels like the same ride it does in a tractor, minus your harness strapping you to the tractor. So you're just kind of out there floating in space. It feels the same. You can feel the tractor hook, but you're just floating. There's nothing holding.
What, do you got, a lap belt in that thing?
Nah, well, I don't know. Maybe. It's kind of like when you get in the semi. You're supposed
to hold on to the damn thing, right?
That's right. That's what I do. Just pull that. Just like when I drive the Kenny's truck. When we drive the donkey, you just get a good bite on that steering wheel and put your thumb over there by the kill switch and turn on the green light.
Yeah. One thing my dad taught me. We had a chassis one time. A guy built it, was a drag racer, and he kind of tilted the spindles back a little bit, and what it does is it wants to self-correct, right? That's what they do in the drag cars to keep the wheels that usually go straight. So when I drive, I don't put my thumb around the steering wheel. I put it on top, because if you ever turn the wheel and it comes down and it tries to correct, that's how my dad broke his wrist.
Okay.
Wow.
But I've seen guys grab that steering wheel like down here like this. You got more strength down here or up here or whatever. It's got to be a challenge to hold on to that thing.
No, it is. Like I say, but it's when you could tell in the first 20 feet. By the time when you really get it, when you come with the throttle, I can tell if it's gonna, like Logan says, when that thing hooks and we're on a pass. Let's go. It's a lot of fun. Right. That's for sure. But. And I've not done it. I mean, I've been around this a lot of years, but, obviously just buying it this year is my first time running it, but, been around them a lot, but it is a lot of fun. That's for sure.
More fun than a big sled.
I think it's more fun than the big sled, but I mean, no, I mean, a big sled with the unlimiteds or some good running supers, I'm sure that can be a handful too, but right now I think this is a lot of fun. So
awesome.
Well, Randy, sounds like we'll have to strap you into one of my tractors and see what it feels like for you. But Adam, I appreciate you coming on, and it's been a blast sitting here. I know you got some football and Taylor Swift to watch back there.
No. I'm just hoping that AFC South team loses so the Colts can have the division lead. So I'm a Colts fan. That's a secret thing about me. I'm a big NFL fan, so I like watching. Not much of the college stuff. I like the professional sports. So I'm a big time football fan. So
that's
if
awesome.
we get to watch the Jaguars lose here, which they are right now, 14-7. I'm a happy guy.
That's good. Good seeing you, Adam. Have a great week.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
And thank you.
Take care.
Yep, you too. Yeah, bye.
And there's a good shot.
I'm telling you, that's when it's fun. When you can not have to hit a break, just sit there and the friend rocked up like that.
Here comes our current points leader, Adam Kester, draw number 896. There's 1,000 numbers, and that's what came out on the automated draw. The Shell Rotella Footloose, new paint scheme, new chassis, and really, they've upped their game from last year.
Right.
And hats off to them. Adam Kester. And there's a good
I
shot.
was. I'm telling you, whew, that's when it's fun. When you can not have to hit a break, just sit there and the friend rocked up like that. That's when.
Well, there you go, folks. The one, the only Adam Kester. Gonna make a little change here, Andy. You want to introduce your next guy?
What's that, Logan?
Gonna make a little change. You want to introduce the next guy here?
Mr. Cole Sidecheck.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Cole's gonna come see us from all the way from Columbus, Texas.
Let's bring the old man on.
Man, that's some good old memories y'all got on there.
Good old memory there down there at the Freedom Hole. Cole, how's it going?
All pretty good. How are y'all? What's up, Randy?
Hey, how are you, Cole?
Good.
How's Mabel doing tonight?
Mabel was just in here a couple minutes ago. I told her she got to get out.
Oh, come on. Everyone's got to see Mabel. Tell her to put them glasses on. She's a lot of fun. How's everybody at home? Everybody good? Mom, Dad good?
Everybody's good. Everybody's good. Kids are getting big.
Good.
Everybody's good. Mom and Dad are doing good. Kristen's good. Everything's
Good.
great.
Tell us a story about going pulling this summer. You won the points championship, right, in Texas?
Me and Dad, we didn't run with Outlaw this year. You know, there's just Faith wants to say hi, Randy.
Hey, Mabel, how are you? Good to see you.
All right. She likes Randy and Susie. But no, first of all, I want to start out. I don't know why y'all bring me on here after the podcast professional Adam Kester. I don't think that's fair, because I'm not going to do near as good a job as that guy. I mean, he got a lot of practice.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
No, we didn't run Outlaw this year. We ran with the Texas Association, who we use here at our pool here in town, and we were fortunate enough to, kind of squirrel out and get a championship with them. I think we thought we were first and fourth, but we ended up being first and third with the TTTPA.
Well, that's good. That's good. So did you run any outlaw this summer, or just a few outlaws?
We ran a few, maybe 10 to 12 hooks, and I mean we did pretty good when we went to them. I think out of the ones we went to, we won 4 or 5 of them. So I mean we were very happy with how we ended up when we did go. We changed a bunch from what's bolted in that truck and from front to back in that picture there to what's bolted in it now from front to back. Ain't nothing the same. We've changed more. We've changed everything from the injector hat to the planetaries, and the gear ratio and the motor. I mean, everything is just different, and it's a whole new what do you say? Obvious. I mean, everything's just different, so we were just wanting to make some passes this year and try to figure out what they liked. And I got a lot of advice from Brant. He gave us a ton of advice, and I mean what we did, I mean it worked. At some places it worked very well, and some places it did not work at all. I mean we weren't nowhere near the top, but we I don't know. We're excited with the way everything is going right now. So we got one more pull we're going to make with Outlaw next weekend. So
That's where's that one at?
Lufkin.
Lufkin. Yeah.
Yes, it's a neat event. It's a very neat event. It's like a charity event for Mission 22. And they have it's more of like a big truck. I don't know what you want to call it. They drag race semis loaded. They drag race them empty. They got a dyno. They got a truck show. They got the tractor pull in the back. I mean, it is it's wild. It is off in the middle of East Texas, and it is wild. I don't know how to describe it, but you got to be there. I know Chase came last year, and I think he was. I think it opened his eyes pretty wide. I mean, it was probably 4,000 or 5,000 people there, off in the middle of some pine trees, watching this tractor pull. So it is a neat event. It's something you need to go to one time. I mean, more than once, but if you can, you need to go. But it's just so late in the year, and everybody's farming, and it's tough on a lot of people. But luckily, we don't farm, so we can go pulling.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Understood. So you guys are going pulling up there. What So how many years have you been at? How many years have you been at this, Cole? How many years you been pulling?
man, I started when I was 16, which should have been around. What am I now? 32. Should have been around 2009.
About
What am
six.
I? 31, 32. I
Yeah,
started in '09, I think.
got it.
So
Is the two wheeler the only vehicle you've ever pulled, or have you guys, or your dad had a mod before, didn't he?
Dad had a mod, or like a econo mod, a long time ago. Him and Donald back in the, man, I'd say early '80s. Uh,
Okay.
but I've pulled a few different two-wheel drives. Me and Dad's, Timmy's. I pulled Donald's a few times. And then I drove a diesel tractor one time, like a light limited pro stock, the Outlaws call it. And then I drove a pro stock with the Outlaws one time, long time ago. I mean, it's way different from now, but I drove a few things, and I drove the bullwhip a few times for Donald. So
Is that when
I
it
drove a
had
few
the?
things.
I didn't hear a mini rod in that list, so we got to
No,
change that.
no, I never pulled a mini. Me and Dad owned one. We
Yeah.
owned one. We owned one for about a year. We bought it from the Outlaws. Were going to do a mini ride class in I think it was like 2018, 2019, somewhere in
Yep.
there. They brought a sled out from California, pulled it at like Whitewright, Rock Valley, maybe Wisner. It was about 4 or 5 events, and we just didn't get it done. And the more we thought about it, the worse of the idea. It just seems worse, worse and worse every time we thought about it. And finally, some fellas, they're like, "Hey, y'all want to sell that thing?" We're like, "Yes, we would like it gone." But I mean, I would love to. I really would. My wife doesn't want me to. If I could lose about 20 pounds, I would be all in. But we
I
don't
don't
have
know
a.
who you need to talk to with the outlaw, but bring that back because that would be a whole heck of a lot closer for us.
Aren't you from, like, where are you from in Kansas?
We are from, let's see, good roundabout directions from you. We're an
I
hour
see
south
that.
of Kansas City, and that puts us an hour out from McLouth, which you guys have been to.
I see that flag behind you. It's a good
Yep.
looking flag. Yeah. Okay, I know where you're at then.
Yep.
In the area. I got you.
We were lucky enough to get that with the old Making Bacon special, my dad's mod, the Wheatland Express, and ran against you guys, bought some parts from. We actually ended up with a set of valve covers off one of your stuff for a Hemi up here.
Okay.
That's where those went.
Okay.
So we're up here and just south of Kansas City, and it's a jog to anywhere. But no, we pulled with the limited minis with the Outlaws and trying to get them to bring back the Grand National class because that would be a fun time.
There was mini rods this year at McLouth, but I think, like you said, they were the limited ones.
Which we brought ours to McLouth. We built a small block just for that.
That show was pretty. I mean, it's pretty fast paced. We hung out at the trailer most of the day, and then when they started, they wasn't messing around. They were going. But I did see a few of the mini rods.
McLouth puts on a very, very good show up there with them.
We haven't been there probably since I started pulling our class. I mean, probably 09, 10, somewhere in there. And I mean, wow, it is nothing like I remembered it. I mean, there's people. I remember the people, but not like it was this year. I mean, holy cow. There was people everywhere.
I know.
I bet them bleachers are 50, 60 foot tall.
I know. That pool's grown and grown.
Crazy.
10 years ago, it used to just be a grass hill. And
Yes.
everything that they've done, they've put it right back into that event, and it has been an awesome venue.
Yes, that's right. That's right. No, I hope they have us back. I think the one guy messaged me, and he said I won the class this year with
Yep.
Dad's truck, and he messaged me, and I messaged him back, and I thanked him, and it was a neat event. You don't mind driving somewhere, and it was a 1 day hook. Kind of, I don't
They
want to say
need
frowned upon, but maybe that's what makes it so special, and that's why the people come out. It is a 1 day hook, and it is a 1 day hook that I would not mind going to. I mean, it is awesome.
It sounds like they're trying to bring back. About 2 years ago, they did run a 2 day hook, and that was a really nice event to go to. And they had a Luke Bryan concert conflict, so that's why they went back to the 1 day. But no, it sounds like they're going to try to bring back that 2 day format, and it should be a good event. So hopefully we'll see you guys around a little bit more this coming year. But real quick, Randy, before I know you got a lot to say, let's catch up on some comments and questions here. So,
Go ahead.
Wyatt's wondering what you think about the two groups down in Lufkin bringing a new crowd to Poland and the Poland crowd to racing.
Y'all are asking me stuff that I'm not good at explaining or even thinking about.
You can blame Wyatt for that one. That's above my
This is an
pay grade.
Adam question. We can get Adam back on here. I do think it's two very different groups of people, but I think they all have the same thing in common. They all like, speed and power and, black smoke and noise and, I mean, they can. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know. This is a tough one. I mean, but it is. I mean, it's great the way they do that, and I feel like maybe it should be more of it. Like Adam said, pulling earlier in the day. Well, at this event, they drag race all day long. I mean, they are drag racing probably at 10 o'clock in the morning, all day long. These semis and all that. I mean, it is constant entertainment, and it's constantly something to watch and something to do. And it is neat. A lot of the pullers, we go over there and we watch. And I mean, would I ever go to as a puller, would I ever go to like a big truck drag race? I mean, yeah, I probably would spend the money and go, and support an event like that, but I don't know if there's anyone around here, and I feel like a lot of people would, a few pullers would, I mean, it's something different, and it does bring, different eyes to tractor pulling, because then people are already there, they paid their money, and they get to watch another 3 hours of entertainment, So I think it's good that more people will see it. I don't even know if I answered the question, what he was asking, but I don't.
Sure.
Well, here's a little bit easier question. When was your first pull?
When was my first pull?
Where was it?
Where was it?
Where? Where?
They struggle to teach us down here in Kansas.
I can tell you where and when. It was when I was 15 years old in De Leon, Texas, after the pull. It was the year before I started pulling. I pulled after the whole show. They let me make one pass in Dad's old truck, and it was in De Leon, Texas, and I was 15 years old. And I'll never forget that. Never even opened the butterflies all the way up, scared to death.
Have you and your dad always had buckets, Cole, or have you guys ever had a body truck?
No, we've always had the buckets. We had it to where they were in the back. We sat in the back for years, and then, we started going to the farm show, and, you can't sit in the back over there because you need that weight up there. So we kind of started scooching them towards the front, I mean, I like to sit in the back. I think it's cool. I mean, you can feel everything. You can, what is Dustin saying?
What does the red light mean on the bullwhip while driving?
Well, I think it means you're over revving, but honestly, it was wounded every time I drove it. I never had like the full fun ride, where it would get up and go. It had like rocker arm breakage every time I drove it.
Is that when it was Was that when it was the long motor and the two Hemis on the front, or?
No, it was just the long motor. It was just the single DT by itself.
Okay,
Yes,
got
sir.
it.
Okay, back to your regularly scheduled program.
No more questions for a while. Maybe at the end.
For sure, absolutely. Oh, it's good. So tell us a little bit about how long have you and your dad been the promoters at Columbus, Texas? I know.
Well, it's me. It's not to leave anybody out. It's me, Dad, Timmy, and a guy named Patrick. He works with Timmy, so it's four of us. And
Okay.
we started putting on the event in I think 2013 was our first year, and we've been going ever since. We're just we put on a small event, one track, 2 days when it's not raining because it wants to rain every year. But it's a nice event. The weather's usually nice and we enjoy it. I don't know how many more years we'll do it, but we really enjoy doing it. It's a lot of work, man. It's
Yeah.
it's way harder than pulling. Way
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah. Susie and I drove. We come out there and seen you guys. It's a lot. It's a nice facility. It's a great event. It's a lot of fun. And when we got lucky the year we were out there, no rain, it
Yes,
was
sir.
beautiful weather. But
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
but it is a lot of work. A lot of people don't understand how tough it is to be the promoter, but you guys
Tractor pulling's
understand.
easy. Tractor pulling's easy, man. Putting on a
Yeah.
pull. Because you ain't just putting on a pull that day. You're putting even a small pull like ours. I mean, we're little. We're little compared to some people. We'll have 50, 60 hooks, and I mean, you're still playing. We're talking about that dang thing in January. It's just, hey, you want to sponsor? Hey, you want to do this? Hey, who's going to bring that? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
It sure is. But it's a lot of fun too to be able to
It is a lot
to
of
talk
fun.
about it. You
And
know.
and people, that's why we did it, to get to the reason why we did it. there's
Yep.
there's not really pulling here. We have to travel to between, it's our pool and Clint's pool is 2 hours away. Our pool's right here in town. Clint's is 2 hours away. Other than that, to go to Whitewright, 5 hours. De Leon, 4 hours. Uh, to get up in Missouri, like Warrensburg, it's about 12 and a half hours. McLeod is probably 12 and a half hours. Rock Valley is about 18. It's to get over into Illinois with my in-laws, you're pushing 16, 17, hours over there. I mean, we got to drive.
I should quit complaining.
And I'm not complaining. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining.
No.
I enjoy driving
It's
the
what it
semi,
takes. You're completely right. It's what it takes.
but so we do it so the people here can see what we do. Because Donald lives here, Timmy lives up the road. We just, everybody always asks, when y'all gonna pull close? When y'all gonna pull close? Well, we don't pull close, so we did that. That was our solution, and we've been doing it ever since.
No, it's a lot.
It seems to be working out well for you.
It's good. It's good.
What's your favorite best track to pull on, and then what's the couple that seems to kick you every single time?
Man, I mean, I love pulling at the farm show. I really do. I mean, when we were going, I mean, I had some good luck there. I love pulling at Rock Valley. It's a good track, and I don't want to say I like pulling on good tracks all the time, but I mean, who doesn't like pulling on good tracks? I don't know. The farm show, Rock Valley stick out as places I like to pull. The ones that get me, obviously here in my hometown, Columbus. I can't seem to. I've won here before, but just never had the real domination. Like you could have when you're 700-800 miles away from home. And Wisner's another one that kind of gets me every year. I won it one time. I won the Thunderbolt one time, and I did terrible before I won it, and I've done terrible since I've won it. I just can't. It's a tough one. It really is for me. There's my dad's won. I don't know how many Thunderbolts up there, but I can't seem to really find the magic touch for Wisner.
No, I get that. You guys put together an awesome field, and it always seems like it's a circle of good luck. When your time comes around, you do no wrong.
Yep, that's right. I can tell you that's true. We won championships with my truck. not change a thing, the next year it can't get out of its own way, and Dad's truck will, be up at the top. It's crazy, and you don't change nothing. So
Yeah, you had a stellar pass up there at Farley early there in June. That thing was, you were on a mission that night. That was a dominant player there, huh?
yes, sir. Yeah, we had a very good run there on Friday night.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. It was awesome, is what it was.
Yeah.
And then Saturday night, I just, man, going back to Adam, watching his Snapchats and stuff, and listening to, I always try to listen to what other people are saying, and you know, they change their spark plugs a lot. Like every other pass, well, I was kind of left out of the loop on that deal, and that's kind of what got me on Saturday night in Farley. We looked at the plugs, after Friday night. Me and Dad had them, laid out in the truck. That's when the combination was fairly new, so we had a couple hot ones, couple cold ones. Changed the nozzles just a tick. Try to even it out, and like a dum dum, he asked me, he goes, "You want to change them plugs?" I said, "No." I said, "They ran last night. They'll run one more time." Well, they didn't. It made it to like 250 something, and like number three spark plug pushed the inside up in it, and it wasn't running on all eight. But we still ended up eighth. I was tickled to death, and I didn't feel like I was on quite the pass I was on Friday night, but it was still going to be, it was still going to be right up there somewhere. I got eighth, might have got, fifth, fourth, third, heck, we'll never know. It don't matter. It don't matter now,
Righto.
But, if they do it again, we'll try again next year,
Yeah.
So we'll have new
Understood.
plugs in it this time. So
Yeah.
I won't have that excuse, maybe we'll have a different excuse. So,
No, that's
but you live and learn, and it's all good. We live to see the next weekend. We're still running the same motor that we were running there. Haven't worked on it. It's still rocking and rolling. So,
and that's Brant's, right? Sullivan Power.
This one was built by Jeff, my motor guy Jeff in San Antonio, JDF
Okay.
Performance, the one in my truck. Yes, sir.
Okay. I thought Brant's been building a few things though, right?
Yes, he's been helping us a lot.
Got it.
One of his is in Dad's truck.
Okay. Understood.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So what's the differences between the two trucks?
The person in the seat. Honestly, there's no, everything's dang near the same. Jeff kind of did his own thing on his motor, and Brant kind of did his own thing. But other than that, everything's the same. They're both Joe stock trucks. They're built like a year and a half apart. We run the same tires, same rear end, same everything. Everything's the same. And everything's mounted in the same spot. Other than stuff you can't control, they're virtually identical.
Got it. Understood.
Kind of like Adam's deal. Maybe not quite as identical as like Adam's three tractors, because they all came from Brad, and Brad built some nice stuff, and he'd make sure, there's, me and Dad kind of did some of the work, and, there's, small stuff, but nothing that should really affect anything.
Got ya. What's the future look like, Cole? You guys just gonna keep running the two-wheelers next summer? Or are you gonna maybe just stay in Texas, or are you gonna try to venture out a little more next summer?
Dad had said something about wanting to go run outlaw points, but I don't know. That's a lot of running, man. They have a lot of pulls. I'm fine with just running the TTTPA points again. They have about 14 hooks, and then just show up to some outlaw pulls when we can. Maybe make a few Illinois pulls. Go to Farley. Just go to, just hit the ones you can. I feel like that is so much fun. Just to, hey, we're taking the week off. We're headed east. We go to Illinois. We pulled this past summer. We went to go see my in-laws. We started off Thursday in Lincoln, Illinois. Went to Mercer, Missouri with outlaw. Ended up in McLouth with outlaw. Went back over there, hung out. And then hit a couple more pulls on the way home. Just go where you want, do what you want. So my plan, maybe run the Texas points, hit a few pulls. Dad's plan, he wants to run outlaw points. So we'll just see. We'll just see what happens.
How
We'll see.
how many how many 2-wheel drive events do the Outlaws have, Cole?
Bet they got 24, 25, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
That's like running Ohio points. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot. But hey, Ohio's one state.
Yeah.
Outlaw covers about 6 or
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking them. Don't no, I'm
No,
not knocking them at all because
no.
what they do, it works. It works for them. And the people who sign up, me and Dad did it for years. We did it for about, I guess, from 2009 till whenever John was born in 20. What was he? What is he, 3 now? I guess he was born in 22. So we did it from 2009 to 2021. Every summer, every outlaw event. If we missed it, it's because I don't know. We didn't miss them. We went to every one of them.
Right.
And there was times when it was 26, 27 hooks, 28 hooks. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of work.
And we asked Logan asked Adam how many miles he thinks he drove last summer going pulling. You guys probably drive, 25 or 30,000 a year going if you went outlaw pulling all those years, huh?
I think we would put on about 30 to 30, a little over 30,000 when we would go to all those pools. It's
Yeah.
300 to Oklahoma, 250, 250, it adds up.
Sure it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It adds up
At 25 times, it gets to be a lot. Yeah.
Right,
Absolutely.
right. And we would
Absolutely.
try to stay up there. Dad had we don't really have truck drivers now, hardly, just us guys. He had more employees back then, and we were able to stay going. Now we do more of the work, me and Dad, and we got a couple good guys at the shop, and we try to do more of the work ourselves, and just try not to be gone so long. I got a family, but
Right.
you never know. We might get a wild hair, and we'll do it again. We're definitely gonna do it again, but maybe not right now.
Yeah, we need to get you to ship her over here. Come and see us. I know you've
I
always
do.
talked.
When we're hanging out in Illinois for a week, I do need to just drive away. I've never drove. I can't get across that Indiana line yet, so I'll have to cross it.
Yeah.
I do want to come play.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I know you want to come up here that second week of August for sure sometime.
Oh
you
yeah, one day.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a lot. That's a lot there too. I mean, man, that's going back to the 30 per class. Now you're talking 60, per class.
Could be. Absolute. Yeah.
You talk about fair. I don't know how fair that is.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right about that. Pretty tough sledding there some nights, that's for sure. But what else you got?
Logan, didn't you have a wild ride this summer? I saw.
We had a little bit of a tumble there in Adam Kester's hometown.
Yeah, I remember that.
When he says that he's never pulled his hometown, well, he needs to, because that's a darn good track. We were pushing for everything that these CJ Hurd chassis had, and we never have upset one of them, and it finally fought back a little bit, and
it was pretty quick in the run too. I mean, it was.
It came out of the hole, reared up, and it got ugly very fast. So it was more of a learning moment because it about did the same thing to me there at Nashville, Illinois, the first night. So I miraculously I don't know how I did it, to be honest. Pedaled it, saved it, and still went like a 295 for a 7th out of 15.
Okay.
Really, all we hurt was we murdered a tire that was dry rotted anyways, and a set of fenders. So
I got you.
We really got out very lucky on that because it could have been bad, but no, we were gunning for all that it had, and we knew that we knew there was a line, but we didn't know quite how close we were to that line.
Right.
So it's only our third full season out there, so we knew it was going to happen, and it's one of those learning experiences.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Yeah,
it's not as scary as you'd think. Stuff tends to slow down and speed up.
I don't
I
know. I feel
know
like it's happening pretty fast.
it likes to go pretty quick on you.
Right.
But no, I've had my fair time. Made a couple passes in the seat of a two-wheeler when we had one year and a half back, and two-wheelers drive so much. They don't drive. I shouldn't say that. They do drive differently than a mini, but just the feeling of being out front of your tractor rather than sitting right on the rear end is
Right.
It's very, very weird for someone that's drove minis and mods.
That's what we struggled with when we kind of moved from the back to the up to the front. You know, I mean, when you sit between the back tires, I mean, you're there. You know what's going on. And But that was also 10 or 12 years ago, and now I feel like maybe you don't have to quite wait as long. That's the next thing. I feel like with the sleds changing and the tires have changed, maybe you don't have to feel that second bounce or that second tug down on your tire. I don't know.
Yeah,
You definitely don't feel it as much in the front as you do the back.
The class big thing with the two-wheelers, I mean, we've seen the addition of Nichols coming out with their tires. We've seen huge changes with power plants, and then even with sleds, they're toying with everything around, trying to stop the bigger tractors, but yet with these lighter classes, still getting them to run good.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting in my own head at Farley on Friday night. Everybody knew it was a good track. It wasn't no hiding it. It was a killer track, and I was like, man, I've never pulled this sled, and Dale Nelson went out there and it was up and down and left and right and everybody's. But then some guys would go out there and just stab it and not go nowhere, and then some folks would drive it too far and it's like, holy crap, like what is gonna happen? And then I was talking with Kelly Nichols and she had a rough ride there. I mean, it's just the new sled had me kind of worried, but
Well, we'll talk
handled it the
this.
first
So
night.
a little while back, 3, 4, 5 years ago, we picked up, as you guys know, down there in Texas or might know, Kenneth Popham.
Yes, sir.
The old fast forward truck. Picked that up, and we pulled it at Cowtown and a couple other events, McLouth and around. We're like, we can't figure this truck out. Well, we pulled our heads out of our butts, took a step back, and realized the last time this truck pulled, they didn't add so much moisture to the track. The tracks were not what they were. The tire technology was nothing compared. From a CPEC to a Nichols is completely different. You look at the sleds, they're completely different. So we had to go and, okay, we're changing gear ratio, weights, rear end components. Like it's a complete, you need to build a 100% different truck compared to 40 years ago.
Yeah. That's right. And I mean, I feel like you have to stay up to date on a lot of those. That's what, you're talking about the old frame and stuff. Hell, we looked at ours and they're not but 10 years old. And, 2 or 3 years ago, me and Dad were struggling. I mean, it's no way to hide it, and is it the truck? Is it, this? Is it that? I mean, building new trucks had crossed our mind, sooner than later. But, we changed other things, because who wants to go drop, quite a bit of money, on two brand new truck, you know what I mean? Because if we're gonna do it, we're not just gonna do one. We're gonna.
You got to do both
two.
of them.
You got to do two. If you change one, you got to change both. So. But no, I understand what you mean. I mean that truck was older, and when it was running tough, back in the outlaw, probably in the 90s.
It was 2001 Outlaw Points champion.
Okay, I was gonna say it was tough. I mean, he was tough. Kenneth, I pulled against that truck, probably right before y'all bought it, or wherever it went after he had it. I mean, he was still running it with Texas, but I think he was trying to run, maybe the same kind of deal he was always running. You know what I mean?
You'll have to ask Brant if he sees it around. That truck went out to California
Okay.
about a
Okay.
year ago.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Was it
So
black when y'all had it?
it was.
Okay.
Someone painted over the old yellow, and we were going to wrap it back to what it was. But we just never had the time with it because now we've got 3 mods up here, a single engine, a twin engine, and a triple engine.
Okay.
And between those and the minis, we just didn't have the time to do the truck. And someone's like your deal with the mini is, oh, you want to buy it? Okay, we can move this along, and we'll pull the motor out of it, and we'll figure something else out to do. So
right.
no, when we had it was a good running truck. After we made those changes, it hang with Oberste and all of them around here. So
Okay. Yeah.
But
Old
Bill.
Bill was tough. Yeah, he was tough. Bill.
No, and then you mentioned Jeff there with JDF, and we just run all of his injectors on stuff when we can, just to be different, because BF6s are fun.
They are, and I mean, I really truly think, like you asked Wayne Purser, like he ran them. Me and Dad have never ran them because we weren't able to. Not saying we weren't able to. We would had to unbolt them every time. You know what I mean? Just
to get them in the trailer.
You know, and I always wanted to, and Dad was like, "Man, I don't. You know, that's just more mess stuff we got to mess with. What if we leave a line loose? You know, what if you do that? You know," and he was right. You know, but I always thought that thing was neat. You know,
yeah.
And Wayne swears up and down it works. You know,
I can agree with you with that.
You know, he's proven it works. So
I mean, you take like a big and ugly injector where you have your butterflies out like this, versus now you take and you stand them straight up, and your air goes right into your supercharger rather than coming and crashing into itself.
Yeah, and if you look at
truly
a lot of the
great
new
idea.
A lot of the new injectors, you know, they're making them narrower and, you know, a little taller.
Yep.
You know,
like
2 holes instead of 3. You know, I don't know.
Mike Janis, he's been great to us with that, and yeah, that's what way he's going with stuff. They're more tall than wide, and they flow astronomical numbers. So
good.
So, Randy, what do you got?
That's just about all. That's about all the questions I got for Cole, because I don't know. I talked to him quite a bit, so I thought I would have a lot more questions, but we went through them.
We covered it all last week.
Yeah, we did.
I think we talked on the phone twice last week.
We did. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I guess the only thing the last question I got is, you know, like, what's your why? Why do you do this, Cole? Why do you guys go pulling all the time?
I mean, I don't want to say because it's all I've ever known, but I feel like it's all I've ever known. Like, you know what I mean? We work quite a bit. I mean, we work a lot, you know, and I mean, hell, it's just it's all I know. You know, we work and we go pulling. You know, it's just that's about the only way I know to describe it. It's all we've ever done from when I was little. You know, I didn't always go with Dad when I was little, but you know, a few years before I actually got to compete, you know, it was every weekend. You know,
right?
With outlaw event, you're pulling. You know, every weekend. You know, and I think one year we went 35 or 36 weekends out of the year. That's outlaw and TTPA, you know, included. You know, we loved it. You know, it's awesome. You know, but now I got a family, you know, and wife and kids, and it slows you down a little bit. But I mean, Michelle enjoys it, Faith not so much, and John, I think John likes it. You know, he's still pretty little, but you know, we're trying to make it a little easier so that the family can go. You know, that's the whole. You know, when it's just guys going for all those years, you know, it's just jump in and go. Don't worry about nothing. You know, we don't need that. We don't need that now. You got wife and kids. You got to accommodate a little bit better. You know, got to have a little nicer stuff. You know, make it a little easier down the road.
Sure. Yeah, I know we've met a lot of. Well, that's how you and I met down Louisville a lot of years ago. and
Yeah.
it's been a lot. We've got to meet a lot of really great people for sure. Get to come out and see you guys. It's a lot of fun. So that's for sure. But
I hope I can see you there again soon.
yeah, I'm
I hope.
I,
We'll
I hope
see
I yeah.
what they say.
Yep.
So
I hopefully I'll be sitting on the roller there at the bottom of the ramp,
right.
So it's the way well, at least I think so. It's what I've been doing for the last few
Good.
years, 4 or
Good.
5 or 6, something like that.
I
But
did
Good.
not know that about Randy.
what did I
Yeah.
was, yeah, that's what Vaughn and Big call me, and Donnie, Roller Randy. Yep.
Gosh, that's a heck of a place to watch the pull from. That sounds awesome
Right?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's on the wrong end.
Nah, I'm on the wrong end, but that's
He-
okay.
He's on the
Somebody's
starting line.
the starting line's just as important as the finish line.
The starting line might be more important than the finish line.
Yeah. Yeah, I always tell people they always say, how many years you been going to Louisville? I said, oh, I don't know, a few.
A
And
few.
we've been down there a few years, and they say, yeah, so many, some people like, yeah, so and so's got 10 or 12 trips down the track down there, and I said, yeah, that's only one class for me. I get to go down there about 60 times a night, like Vaughn and those guys. It's a
Right.
lot. It's a lot of fun, boy. I tell you, I really enjoy going down there. Like I say, the starting line, it's okay. The finish line, if you want to watch, is better, but it's all right.
Right. Right.
You got to work your way got to work your way up. Someday I'll be at the other end, but
That's
that's
right.
okay. But yeah,
But
it's
your
been
job is just as important, and they got to have somebody on there that's going to do a good job and make sure it's fair. That's the
yeah,
name of the game.
yep.
Make
Gotta
sure
pay
everybody got a
attention.
fair chance.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, but we've got to drive around the country and meet a lot of people just like you. And you've been around, met a lot more people than I have because you guys drive a lot more out west there, and we've not been to we've been to your event. That's the only Texas event Susie and I have ever been to, but it's we got 42 or 3 Ohio events, so
Right.
it gets to be pretty hectic, and then now with that mini rod sled, it just adds another game to another factor there for sure.
You're a hot commodity. People
Nah,
want you.
nah,
People want you.
nah,
Nationwide.
nah. Yeah, just comic relief. That's all I'm good for, Cole.
Yeah, dude. I don't know about that.
For sure. Well,
Good
it
for
sure was-
comic relief and maybe a good way into the farm show, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure.
Free tickets, man. Free tickets. We're gonna get free tickets from Randy. So
No, don't. I don't know nothing.
That's something on my bucket list. I've never been down to the farm show. Dad went with Domans. He's been down there with them, and no, one of these years I'd like to get down there because it's one of those events where that and Bowling Green, two of the highest caliber events out there.
I've never been to the Bowling Green, but I've been to the farm show a few times, and I mean it's just cool, man. It's because it's all week long. There's what I mean. There's something to do. It don't matter what you like to do. There is something to do. If you want to go tour something in town, or you want to go walk around and buy drill bits, I mean, there is something to do. You don't even have to be tractor pulling related, but it's a neat event. So and maybe that's what tractor pulling needs more of. Is events with something to do. I don't know. So
there's always some after hour shenanigans that you can't talk about.
That's
other
right.
than that. That's a lot
right.
of fun.
That's right.
Yeah.
Day.
After hour shenanigans are always fun.
We
for
stay at
sure.
the trailer, man. We stay. I used to do that, and then I started doing better when I started staying at the trailer after the pull. So
Yeah.
that kind of reflected, in my results at the farm show. So
Yeah, I understood. I can't help myself. I stay around the trailer once in a while, but I can't help myself. I'm still young enough. I gotta venture downtown.
right. Maybe on Tuesday. Hopefully on that Tuesday we can go for a ride and go check it out.
Absolute. For sure. Absolutely. So yeah, that's all I got, Logan. I mean, it's great talking with you, Cole. Thanks a bunch. I really appreciate you coming on and talking with us and having some fun tonight. So
Yeah,
I
that's
appreciate
all I
y'all.
got. So I think we'll roundabout wrap this up. It's been a great show. It's been a pleasure having you on, Cole, Randy. It's always a blast, and I guess until next week, we'll figure her out again.
yeah, I gotta go trucking. I got a load of Jersey barriers sitting on the Kenworth that's got to go to Columbus, Ohio yet tonight. So I suppose I got to go to work now.
Fun's over. All
Uh,
righty. Well,
Well, I
so
appreciate it.
yeah,
Thank y'all.
thanks. Yeah,
Thanks
thanks a
for
lot,
having me on
Cole.
here.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you for everything. So, all right,
have
whatever.
a good rest of your night there, boys. And until
All right.
next time, see you next week on Let's Grow Pulling.
Today. Let's talk about today.
Grand national and state level, you have to run non-sales, wholesale.
Is 9,000.
The only mistake I made, I didn't put her in a registration movement.
Just this ever evolving story.